I raced because first I had no choice. That was the thing that would save me and my family, really, if I did it properly. And I'm glad that we did. Now, I don't really have that, thoughts behind it, because obviously everything is okay, on that side. So now I just take it all in. I'm happy to be here. I'm smiling, every time I come to the paddock. And I just love to take the car out and push it to the maximum I can and make everyone in the team, happy.
Welcome everybody to this week's F1 Beyond the Grid. I'm delighted to say we're joined by Esteban Ocon. Esteban, how are you? It's been 3 years since you were last on the show. You're looking well.
Thank you very much, Tom. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you once again. We're talking about the good memories just before off cameras, of the first Beyond the Grid that we did. It was 2018 or 2017 in a truck, and there was no cameras back then.
No.
So you've upgraded a little bit.
We have upgraded, because I tell you what it is. We want to see you in your new threads, the new colours. You look good in red.
Thank you very much. I appreciate. Yeah, I think it suits me well, very well.
Well, you've always been a fan of red, haven't you? I'm reminded of your karting career.
Exactly. I've always been a fan of red. Always looked after Michael. So, there's some Ferrari in my car, which, I'm very happy. And it's obviously great to be, wearing the Haas colors. I'm glad about the helmet colors as well. It suits well the car.
Let's talk about Haas. There's a lot to talk to you about, but let's talk about the here and now, first of all. It's early days. What are your first impressions of Haas?
First impression of the teams, I would say... a big family, really. This team really has welcomed me in such a way that I just felt at home, straight away. It's really, a fresh start for me. I feel, that I'm integrating super well, with everyone. And everyone is hungry and motivated, to deliver. They are proud of everything that they do, when they do it well. And that's great, because if you're not proud of the job you do, then there's no point of doing it. And it's honestly fantastic, to be part of such a team and to be, able hopefully to progress further this year.
How would you describe the vibe here at Haas? Is it closer to Force India than Mercedes and Alpine, just because it's smaller?
There is some of that as an atmosphere, the family kind of feel, is very much like the Force India days, but it doesn't feel small, this team. Feels like a big team in the way of what they're achieving. When we need something, it comes, quicker than what I've been experiencing in the past. And yes, for sure. I mean, Ayao could tell you a lot of things about where we could improve, but it doesn't feel like we are small, because the quality of the job that's been done is very impressive, and to me, doesn't feel like we lack that, or we lack people, because probably everybody's trying to accommodate me in the best way possible.
Tell us more about the challenge for a driver when he's changing teams.
It's a big challenge, especially when you get through a period where you spend 5 years with the same team. 5 years in Formula One terms is, feels like forever. In 5 years everything changes. Regulations. People have forgotten, 5 years ago how things were. And there is a routine that comes, and a language that can seem normal. And suddenly you change team and everything, has to be different. You need to redo these kind of connections and make them normal again, and make them feeling normal. So, yeah, it's a big change. And that's what we've been working on a lot over the winter, to try and make the transition smooth. But for example, when I drove in Abu Dhabi for the first time, I felt lost. The steering wheel was completely different. The feeling of the car was different. I was sitting extremely low. I had a lot of space, in the car, and Yeah, it felt it felt very odd to start with, but it didn't take long before it felt like home.
You mentioned it at the Abu Dhabi test. You were sitting very low.
Yes,
But you're a tall guy. That must be quite difficult to get you low in the car.
I'm a tall guy, but throughout the years, the car have become bigger, and I've experienced that this car is the biggest one I've ever been in yet. So I feel I fit without issues, in that car.
Is that the first time in your career that you fit?
Not really. It would be a lie to say that but it's where I had the most flexibility of choosing where I wanted to sit, So I've decided to go as lowest as I could from where I was supposed to sit, and I went to the Fernando style, so like that, basically. And then figure out if that was possible to drive or not, and turns out it was possible. So
How difficult is it when you're lying down to drive?
It's quite difficult because the vision is a lot lower for sure, but it's a very comfortable position. My knees, they clear, everything is obviously legal, but it was a bit of a change in direction, I wanted to take, and we're able to take it, so that's very good.
I'd love to get your thoughts on something that Lando Norris said, actually, in Monza last year. He said the driving bit is the easy bit in Formula One. It's everything else that makes it hard.
Yes.
Would you agree with Lando?
Yeah, I agree with Lando. I think if you drive the car, you drive the car, yes. I think within 2/10 you can put the whole field, just driving the car. But it's down to all the little details, the diff mapping, the engine braking, the brake mapping, all the setup of your car, the aero platform, how you develop it. I mean, we are pretty much engineers now. That's how complicated it has become. And to get it right, it's a big headache, for sure. And I didn't think, being, an F1 driver was gonna be sitting in a chair and looking at numbers for a whole weekend straight, in front of a laptop. I thought you jumped in the car and you could show, who was the best out there. But it's a bit more than that, yeah.
Well, let's talk about how it's gone so far this year. It's been a bit of a yo-yo, a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, Melbourne was difficult. Then you have that sensational P5 in China. Then it looked, at least from the outside, that Japan was difficult again. What are the strengths and weaknesses of this Haas?
Yeah, I think we need to get a bit more consistency, in how we managed to optimize the weekend. Melbourne was extremely difficult and quite a shock for all of us in the team. I don't think any one of us expected that weekend to be, so tough. We were not thinking we were going to be the quickest, but we were not thinking we were going to be the last. And last by a long way, and that was really a scary one. The following 3 days, we didn't sleep much. We didn't eat much. It was not a very comfortable one, but we managed to really stick together and turn the performance around, which I didn't think was going to be possible. I thought it was going to take quite a lot of time to be able to figure out what went wrong. And in 3 days on a sprint weekend, I didn't think that this was going to be possible. But we really optimized the car well. It was a very poor Friday, again, difficult to get around the car, similar to how it was in Melbourne. And then we changed the whole car for Saturday, and the car just came alive. It was amazing to drive. It was only P11, in qualifying, but we're just getting to know how the car was feeling. And then in the race, it just came alive, completely. And we're able to do some overtakes, fight with quick cars and just get a double point finish for the team. It was very special and quite a weight off the shoulders.
Without giving away any of the family secrets, what did you change on the Friday night of China that transformed it so much?
If you put the car, into 100%, I think 85% of the car was different, from Friday to Saturday. Setup, parts, everything. We just
Well,
He just went all in.
you go. It almost smacks of desperation. Look, what we're
No,
doing
it was not
here.
desperation. It was not desperation. That's the thing. You know, there was a whole world of science behind it, because there've been people looking, you know, from both factories, and okay, this is not working. This, maybe we should go that direction. What do you think, Esteban, this is gonna do? I think we could do that. Okay. But in all the departments, different ones, you know, aero, mechanical, suspension, mapping, you know, all has been working well in the right direction, and we've optimized what we had in hands.
And we haven't been helped maybe with all the tarmac that's been new or entirely new in China, partly new in Japan. We've got the new tyre compounds this year. Although everyone's saying, oh, that the regulations are quite old now, it feels like there's still quite a lot that's new this year. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of just little, you know, variables that come in, you know, that we didn't necessarily think about, you know, like the new tarmac in China, like half of the new tarmac, Suzuka, these new tires, of course, but, you know, this we've been able to test them also last year. So far, yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of new things coming, and especially with me coming into a new team, you know, the less new things there are, the better it is.
Now, Ayao carved up the race team over the winter here. There are a lot of new faces in the garage. Are you proud of the way everybody's approached the first 3 races of the year?
Yes, I think so. Honestly, you know, the response into some of the difficulties that we faced, and how quickly, you know, the people have been able to react, it's something I've never seen before, clearly. You know, to come up with an update after 2 races from something that we've had the diagnostic in, I don't know if that's in English word, diagnostic, after the first race. So it's something that, you know, is incredible as a turnaround. And even Ayao, you know, has been very impressed of how we've managed to be able to do that. So he's a clear leader, you know, of this team. It's been very impressive in also the technical side. You know, he still has an eye on it and has a very good view on where we should move forward, and it's exactly what we need at the moment. And you know, this team has clearly, you know, shown huge progress, you know, since Ayao has joined at the lead, and it's great to see.
You have a special bond with Ayao, don't you? And tell me if I'm wrong, but did he engineer you on your first ever F1 test back in 2014?
Yes, yeah.
Well, was it Valencia?
Valencia. I drove the Kimi's car, I think it was, the one where I drove Abu Dhabi and won. And then I did my first FP1 with him as well in 2014 in Abu Dhabi. And but even before that, you know, if you come back into 2011 or 2010, I remember we are with Gwen together, Gwen Lagrue, who's in charge of the Mercedes Young Driver program. And I went there with him, and there was like a 12-hour endurance race with F1 teams, you know, just taking part of this race. And Ayao was there and racing, and I was part of the Lotus team. And that's the first time we met, you know, in 2011.
Were you teammates?
We teammates, yeah. We were a teammate. And I remember him, I was not speaking very good English, and people were calling me Mowgli because I had long hair. But I remember him.
Mowgli as in the Jungle Book?
The Jungle, Jungle Book, yeah. I was probably 35 kilos at the time, so I was very fast in the go-kart. But anyway, I remember he was the only one who came to me and said, Esteban, how do you take this corner? Do you take a little bit the curb to prepare the next one? And that will stick forever because, you know, no one else really, I was much quicker than everyone in that corner, and no one really asked me, you know, how they could do it in the team, you know. But but he was the one coming and asking me, to try and gain something out of it.
Inquisitive mind.
Exactly.
Once an engineer, always an engineer, right?
For sure, but an incredible engineer.
Has Ayao changed a lot since then, or do you still see the same guy now?
I see the same competitive person I've seen. He's probably the most competitive guy I've ever met, and I think we share that, together. And since our first chat last year about me joining the team, that has been something that we really stick together.
This episode is sponsored by Saily. Imagine this. You've just touched down in a new country, ready to dive into the action. You're buzzing with excitement until you realise no Wi-Fi, no data, just you stuck at arrivals, completely off the grid. Personally, that's my worst case scenario. I don't know how I'd get anything done. And that's why I rely on Saily, the eSIM app that keeps you connected in over 190 countries and across 8 regions. No physical SIM swaps, no eye-watering roaming charges. Here's how easy it is. Download the Saily app, pick a plan, and boom. The moment your wheels hit the runway, you're online. And if you're traveling non-stop, Saily's regional and global plans mean you stay connected without ever switching SIMs. It works on both iOS and Android, and there's 24/7 chat support if you need help. And if your device doesn't support eSIM, no worries. They'll refund you in full. Download the Saily app now in your app store and use the code GRID at checkout for 15% off your first purchase. Can we talk about Laura Mueller, your new race engineer this year, her first full-time position in Formula One? How are you two rubbing along together?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great, to work with Laura. She's really a great engineer. She's been having a lot of experience in a lot of different categories. She's done DTM, I've done DTM, so we have that point in common. But she did a lot of different categories, and her trajectory is very impressive. She's awesome to work with. It's only the third race that we are doing together, but the amount of hours she puts in is very, very impressive. Like, she doesn't count hours. On a quali day, I remember in Suzuka, we had obviously a difficult one, but we were still having, meetings and debrief, and we went on, work, because it was not, the way we wanted, to have the performance. And she didn't, stand up to take a sandwich or a drink for probably the whole day. And she was like, Esteban, I will probably go and take food now, because it's 7:30 or 8 in the evening. And I'm like, you didn't eat yet? And she's like, no, because, she didn't want to, because she was flat out with work. And we have a great team here. My performance engineer, Sasha, as well, is new this year in the team. He's coming from Formula 2. They make a great team. They are my biggest support, obviously, and it's awesome to be, sticking together.
I imagine they are relying on your experience, at least in these early stages. You've got, 160 Grand Prix now under your belt.
Yeah.
You're at the grand old age of 28, which I think makes you the 6th oldest driver in Formula 1
Thank
now.
you, Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can you remind us how old you are?
I can't count that high anymore. I refuse to count that high nowadays. But do you know what? I read an interview with Laura in which she said her interest in engineering was properly sparked during a gap year in Australia, when she started working on sort of supercharged cars and some quite random stuff in Australia. And it made me think, do you and her share a passion for cars, not just Formula One cars?
I think we do. We do. In the end, you can't be in this world, without liking what we are working on. There is, some sparks in there that, we enjoy, being, surrounded by, powerful cars, quick cars.
I had visions of you two going to Liberty Walk while we were in Japan last week and just looking at some sort of really random...
I think we could have done, but unfortunately we didn't have time.
You were too busy doing donuts in a Toyota Supra.
Yes.
And you were busy in a Yaris.
Yeah, Yaris GR.
Am I right?
Yes, yes.
You were busy while you were there, just not at
busy.
Liberty Walk.
No, exactly. I was busy in a good way because that was a fantastic event. That will, just to put it in context, we were visiting the GR factory in Japan, the Toyota GR factory, and we got at our disposal with Ayao the test track, obviously, of the facility, and. Morizo-san, is very dedicated to driving and testing, and that track, had jumps, had bank, had it was an incredible experience. Honestly, a little Nürburgring like I've never seen before. And we arrived, and I remember seeing this Yaris GR Seboji edition, Yaris GR Cali Revamper edition, and that Toyota Supra, but last edition, so, it's like hearts in my eyes, when I arrived, I saw those cars parked there, and I was like, can I jump in? I just said, can I jump in? They were like, yes, of course. And I said, but are we driving those? And they were like, yes, of course. I was like, wow, that's awesome, just arriving there and have such a welcome. It was incredible. So yes, I had to destroy a set of tires. But
did you get air over the jump? Did you do the jump?
I did get air over the jump, yes. I don't know if we have a video of this, but probably. And then I got my first experience of gravel driving as well on a GI Yaris modified, for rallying, also on the Toyota facility. And Ayao took my helmet. I said, you can go. He didn't have a helmet at first, so I gave him mine. And we were very impressed with his wheel effort, and he's very good.
How about you on gravel? Does it feel very unnatural being sideways? No?
I feel, honestly, I kind of feel more at ease sideways than straight. That's how much, time I spent in drifting, and, the car control for me when I've arrived into single-seater was something I really wanted to be bulletproof on. And I never wanted, I'm touching wood because if I spin now in turn one, people are going to be laughing. But I've always wanted to be bulletproof on any situation that happens.
Well, hang on, this all adds up because you've always been brilliant in the wet. Haven't
Thank you.
No, but you have. So I'm thinking of P2 at Interlagos last year, wet. Monaco podium, wet.
Yeah.
Hungary Grand Prix victory.
Wet to start with.
Wet to start with, right? There's a theme here.
Yes, yeah.
How did you get so good at the whole car control thing?
Well, I think there is a few things in here. First of all, I come from a region which, has quite a lot of rain, Normandy. In my time, there was no wet tires when we were racing in go-kart. You only had slicks with them, so we were driving with that much water, with slick tires, aquaplaning in the straight lines and all of this. But, if you go on my TikTok, there is a video I posted recently where I was doing these 360s, in my dad's garage with the go-kart. And
so recently or old
I've
footage?
Posted, it's old footage from when I was 7.
Okay.
But I've posted it recently. And, I've always loved, stunts with cars. And to me, putting something sideways, with wheels has always been something that I've loved. And that's why, I just like to, go sideways with a front-wheel drive car. That's something that normally you are not supposed to be doing. But if you push the entry enough, get the handbrake at the right time, you can do 3/4 of the corner sideways, And a couple of years ago, I turned up to a drift. Like it was a drift, meeting with a lot of like Japanese cars and BMWs and all of this. And I turned up with my front-wheel drive car, and people were like, "You can't drift that. It's impossible." And I did. It was mega. And,
Is there footage of that?
It.
I'd like to see that.
There's footage in my phone, yes, but
do you know? So you've got your own YouTube channel now.
Yes.
I think you launched it over the winter, didn't you? I've looked at it. It's improved my French. It's also sort of like Duolingo for me.
Yes, it's a little bit of both. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
But I think this is an idea. I'd like to see a program of you going to a drifting competition on the.
That's planned.
Is it planned?
It is
Okay.
planned. Well, not a drifting competition yet. Might be in the future. But yeah, the plan is to go drifting with some of my friends, show that, on camera. And it's always been, a project that I wanted to do. I love YouTube, because I've probably... That's the main, TV shows that I look at, all these content creators that can express themselves, take the time to show what they do. I love it, and I thought it was the right time, to be launching my YouTube channel finally. So I've done 2 videos to start with. It's obviously a lot of work, and we are busy in the season. But the first one was very important to me. I really wanted to show, some of my dreams that we managed to achieve, with my dad, in my dad's garage.
That's the one I watched.
Yeah, and the things that we do by ourselves, people would think, oh yes, he's an F1 driver, he just sends somebody to do it. But no, I do it with my dad. I put the hands in. If we have to rebuild an engine, I will do it with my dad. We modify things, we get it as we want it. And future I'm going to be showing a lot more of this. My passion for cars, which is what I want to be showing for sure. And also the mechanical side of it, that I like.
If you're into cars, do watch his YouTube channel, because you've got great stuff. So there's the Corvette.
Yeah, there is. That was.
Can you give me some stats, like brake horsepower, things like that?
Yes, I can do.
Go on, the Corvette.
Yeah, it's like 640 at the moment, stock. It's a compressor V8.
Sounds great.
Sounds mega. And we are planning to bring it to about 850 horsepower with my dad. So on the manual car, that's quite a lot of fun. And we've built a buggy as well.
I saw the buggy as well.
The buggy, which is road legal, which is quite crazy. It's stock at 100 horsepower. It's about 220, so it's double the power now.
Did you build that?
We did together with my dad. Alone I would struggle, but
Dad's pretty handy, right?
He's the best mechanic I know, and I've encountered a lot of mechanics also in F1. He could be working in F1. If he spoke English, that would be really easy for him to be working in F1. And I'm not saying that because I'm biased and it's my dad, but he's been my main race mechanic in go-kart for years. And I know, how precise, how much love he puts into it, and the thoughts he has behind it. He's not an engineer, but some of the things that people are using in go-kart at the moment, some safety things for the chain, not to jump out of the sprocket, things like that. It's things that he's done himself first. And if I knew, we would have, put depose the labor thing, for that not to be taking the idea. And we would have get some money from that.
Yeah,
but
patent it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And people are using that now, but he did it first.
Great stories. Also, there is the Ferrari 296.
Yeah, 296 GTB.
Yeah. Oh, it looks gorgeous.
Incredible.
Is that can we talk, is that a company car?
Yes and no, but kind of yes. But
what color is it? It's beautiful color.
Yeah, it's a dark red. I think it's Rubino Nero. I think it is. I'm not sure if that's the correct paint scheme, but
and does it have the F1 engine in it?
No.
The V6.
It's the
hybrid?
V6, but
is it
I
turbo?
think it's part of the 499P of Le Mans.
Okay.
I think that's the base engine, if I'm correct.
How many horses is that?
Too much for the road.
There's actually a really funny bit where you're walking around the front and you're just looking at the stone chips, lamenting the stone.
It kills me when I see that, Cars are made to be driven, but I've always took extra care of things that I get. And I've been taught that, from my dad, you can walk in socks in the garage. That's also something which I show in in the video. And even though it's covered in plastic, the car, with a special sticker on top, which is transparent. It's just it's very painful to see such a beauty, getting stone chipped.
And the car, perhaps, that people listening to this will want to know most about is the Hungary F1 winning car that the team gifted it to you, and that's in the garage with Dad.
It's not really a gift. It's a bit more complicated. It was in the contract.
Okay.
So they were forced to give it to me.
But it's the actual chassis, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the actual chassis, and it's a complete car.
So it has an engine.
Yeah.
Are you going to run it?
No, it's impossible. I've thought about it already 1,000 times, on how to do. And there are a few things missing, like batteries, like some of the ECUs, are not there because, with time they would just, first it's dangerous, because a battery without people checking, the voltage and stuff and keeping the battery level, throughout all the cells is very dangerous. So I've specifically asked not to have the batteries.
And you can't run it just on the internal combustion alone?
No, because the turbo is electric. So you need the hybrid system, to be working. I could change the engine and put something else in there, but it's quite sad. And also you need, a full team of engineers, to be starting the car. I need the toolbox to warm up the fluids, all the hydraulics. You need to cool the fuel as well.
You can get all that.
No, I can't get all that. And also now that, Viri is going to become something else, I think it's going to become very difficult, unfortunately, and very sad.
That car, Esteban, must have huge sentimental value.
Incredible, yeah. Every time I step in that garage, I look at the car, it is pure love for sure. It's an incredible moment that I've lived. To be able to have the car, I can't describe it. I have no words, and for people of my entourage also to being able to see it from close, sit in it from outside, it looks so easy to drive. You go left to right, it's stuck to the ground and all that. But when you're inside, it's a different story.
Do you still sit in it just to bring back the memories? If you do?
Yes.
It's been done.
Yeah, it's been done. I've sat in it quite a few times, just to see if it still fits and brings me back the memories. Just the seat, the position, the steering wheel. It's special.
Look, that is a huge memory that goes down in Formula One history, of course, your own history as well. Can I ask you just briefly about Alpine last year, in the journey you went on? I mean, we're talking in Bahrain. I think you and Pierre qualified on the last row of the grid. And yet, 9 months later, you finished second and third in Interlagos. What kind of a journey is that for a racing driver? And when you're driving a car that's uncompetitive, do you ever doubt yourself?
There's a lot of questions in that.
Sorry. Let's break it down.
But no, it's a good question, Tom, for sure. It was an incredibly difficult season. That is, fair to say. But it really shows, how much me, Pierre, and the people that are working on this car, really gave everything, until the last moment. We knew it wasn't a great car. It was a very bad car, to be fair. At some point we just were, okay, let's give it a go at every single point. Opportunities can arise, and all the people actively working, at the factory, on the track. We made the difference at the time that it mattered last year. It was a proud moment for all of us. And I insist with we and the people that have worked, tirelessly, because, I've been part of this team for 5 years, and whatever happened at the end is not the story of this team. I've been, proud to work with the people I've been working with.
And do you, I don't mean necessarily you, Esteban Ocon, but do you as racing drivers ever doubt yourselves when the car is difficult and you just, you're qualifying at the back and it's like, is it me, is it the car kind of?
Well, it's important to always put yourself first, like, okay, did I do something wrong? Can I do more? And then we just look at it, and compare it with other cars and, okay, I'm going to try to do what this car is doing just to see if I can do it. Try and carry the same speed, lose the car. Okay, box ticked, that's not coming from me, so we need to look elsewhere. Okay, slow speed corner, take another one, these guys are exiting, in that gear, they are exiting, in that speed with that much, aggressivity on the throttle. Let's try. We overheat the rear tires, so no, it doesn't work. But to be able to progress, yourself, it's very important to put yourself first and not necessarily doubt, but just to make sure that you are not sleeping on your merit and on your own talent, because you always need to improve, in that sport. And that's what I've done the whole year. And once, I'm 100% sure that it doesn't come from me or from Pierre at the time, then we just go into that painful conversation on, what's the what are we going to do, now, what's the plan coming up? And now all of this is history.
Our next partner is Vanta. If you're building a startup, you already know trust is everything. Proving your commitment to security is how you close deals, land enterprise customers, and scale faster. But doing it all manually? That's time and resources you can't afford to waste. That's why so many companies turn to Vanta, the leading trust management platform that automates up to 90% of the work for compliance across more than 35 security and privacy frameworks. From SOC 2 to ISO 27001 to the EU AI Act and DORA, Vanta helps you get audit ready in weeks, not months. It centralizes your security processes, streamlines vendor reviews, and speeds up security questionnaires, all powered by automation and AI. And it's not just a time saver, it's a serious growth driver. According to an IDC white paper, Vanta customers save an average of $535,000 per year, and the platform pays for itself in just 3 months. Join over 10,000 global companies like Flow Health, Synthesia, and Alica Bank, who use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. For a limited time, listeners get $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/grid. That's vanta.com/grid for $1,000 off.
I mean, I'm talking to a guy who beat Max Verstappen in Formula 3, right? And I guess if you extrapolate this further, I wanted to ask you, why do you race? Is it the lure of success and spraying the champagne? Is it a fear of failure? Is it the love of competition? Again, a lot of questions, I'm sorry, but it's like, why do you race?
I race because first, I love cars. These are the best cars in the world, and I'm extremely lucky, to drive them as fast as I can. I race because I don't pay for tires or brakes.
That's a very different mentality to when you were karting, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was very different back then, but there are very few people passionate about racing that can say that. I burn tires and it's fine. I can just get away with it. But no, I mean, I like competition. I like to fight others. I like to have close, wheel-to-wheel battles. Like you, Tom, I guess, we've grew up watching, Michael against Fernando, probably you, Senna and Prost.
Actually, I thought you were going to say Fangio. But
Fangio, yeah.
You'd be wrong on that.
But yeah, we love it, I'm a lot less fan of all the geek stuff of the background, I have to say. But that has to be, some part of it that you are not as fan of to be able to race properly on track. And I raced because first I had no choice. That was the thing that would save me and my family, really, if I did it properly. And I'm glad that we did. Now, I don't really have that, thoughts behind it, because obviously everything is okay, on that side. So now I just take it all in. I'm happy to be here. I'm smiling, every time I come to the paddock. And I just love to take the car out and push it to the maximum I can and make everyone in the team, happy when I go and do an overtake in the grass, because, that's how it should be. Yeah.
It's the rally driver in you coming
Maybe.
out.
Yeah.
I mean, do you get as much pleasure out of... Let's take... What year was it when you and Lewis crossed the line almost together in Suzuka? It was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You finished P4.
Yes, that was 22.
Do you 22,
22.
right? Do you get as much pleasure out of that P4 as... Okay, to use Hungary is probably to an extreme, but a podium?
Yes, I do. It's a shame, though, that was only a P4, because, there are some races where, you just get more out of the car than ever, and it doesn't pay as much. I'm thinking 2021 Jeddah, 2022 Japan, these kind of races, where it should have been much more than what we got. But yes, we were talking about it with Lewis in Suzuka on the driver's parade, and remembering, he was like, "Yeah, you were so quick that weekend, and yeah, you were quick in the straight. I couldn't pass you. I was quick in corners," and I was like, "Yeah, but you still didn't get me," So
your passion for it is shining through. Even now, you've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah, I know, but doesn't matter. Look, Lewis has been doing it for 20 years. It's still the same, And we talk about RC cars. We are just big kids, enjoying what we do. It's not the same for every driver, but it is for me.
I didn't see any remote control cars in the garage on the YouTube channel, by the way.
Hey, yes, you've missed it.
That was episode 2, was it?
No, it was on the first one. I presented the chassis,
did you?
The RC car, yes.
In French or English?
I think in English, mate.
Oh my
you have
God, we're gonna have to edit this.
But it was very
out.
quick. It was very quick because it was a very busy day, because we had a lot to show and we were figuring out what to show. And that will be, another episode probably. We are gonna show what a real, RC environment is, because people don't really know, what that is. People think these are toys, but they are, a big engineering thing. They are little F1 cars.
And karting is so expensive now. Actually, can people do RC racing, obviously much cheaper than karting,
yes,
and get a good thrill out of it?
Yes.
Right.
And you know what? I was talking to Ayao about this, and there's a big translation between real-world driving and RC cars. If you take Oscar, for example.
He was a national champion.
Exactly, he's Australian champion. And I don't think he's bad at driving, is he?
But what is it? It's the fine motor skills.
Well, and Lewis the same. He started with RC cars as well. It's your eye and perceiving what the car does. It's the same as if you put yourself in it or outside it. You are gonna feel what it does, even though you don't really feel it. If the car starts to slide, where you have to put the throttle, the line you preempt, where the car is gonna go, with how much grip you have. It's the same thing, but in small, and the racing, I've been, a spectator to some of them, championships, like national championships. And I was. I
say, you just as a Formula One driver, you just turn up.
Yeah, I turned up, and I put a hoodie and just went watching.
I love you turn up uninvited, so to speak. And a bit like when you went to the drifting as well.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, I,
No pressure, lads.
actually, you needed the pass to get in, but I've managed to like go in a tree and watch turn one like that.
True tifosi.
Yeah, true tifosi. It was awesome. The cars, they rev up to 40,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Not many people know this, you know, for example. But yes, when there is many ways to get into racing. If, in my ways, it would not have been possible to go in go-kart, pay, a fee to a team and get the go-kart and drive. And I was super lucky that my dad has gold hands and being able to do it all himself, get a used kart, and he was able to make the thing run. But yeah, for half of the price, you can do RC racing. Still a lot of money, for sure. But there are many different categories. And in sim racing as well. Now you can get into that with a lot cheaper than reality. And actually, I'm building something with some very, good people in a sim racing championship. And the winner is going to get a full race seat in a GT4 car.
Wow.
So I'm really proud to, be part of this and to be able to give the chance of some drivers that deserve it and that never think that this would be possible.
So when is that happening?
So that's happening this year.
In 2025?
Yes. Yeah.
And then the winner will get a paid for drive in 26?
Yes.
Wow.
He will race for free in a GT4, and he's going to be followed as well throughout his
Another
career.
episode on the YouTube channel.
That could be as well, yeah. I wouldn't think about that, but that is probably going to be, a big one.
Do you know what? I love talking to you because you are so passionate about cars and racing. And it does lead me to ask this question, though. Abu Dhabi last year, you didn't race.
Yeah.
By the way, I think I very nearly interrupted the meeting that led to that. I was in Qatar and I was about to interview Toto, and they said, yeah, come to Toto's office. Upstairs in the hospitality. I go in, I'm literally knocking on the door, and someone runs and grabs me and says, don't go in there. So I wait outside, and then I wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you come out, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But look, I don't mean to joke about what was obviously a very difficult time. And for someone who is so passionate, how hard was it for you not to race?
Yeah, it was extremely hard, for sure, because I really wanted to finish this story on a high with the team, but we can't remake the past. That's how things have happened, and what was even harder was the fact that I've watched the race, from the hotel.
Did you watch the race?
I did, but from the hotel, and I've never missed a race since I've joined Formula One since 2016. Even when I was reserve in 2019, I was always on site. As soon as there was a car firing up, anyway, I'm there. I'm behind the exhaust. Behind the exhaust or behind the wheel. There is no other way. But yeah, I've decided not to, disrupt, the team's last race at Haas. It was K-Mag's last race with the team and Nico's last race with the team, and I just let them focus on what they had to do. There was a lot to play for as well, and I didn't want myself to be a disruption of that. So I've stayed at the hotel, watched the race. It was a difficult one, for sure, because it was never supposed to be happening, and it's not a nice feeling, to be outside of where you should be.
Difficult. I can see that's really difficult. But then you got in the car 2 days later in the Haas, and kind of the next chapter started. And then we go into the winter. And I feel like I'm talking to you about movies and TV channels a lot on this chat. But you're a bit of a film star.
Oh,
is that? Can we call you that?
No, please don't.
Is it Honeymoon Crashes?
Honeymoon Crashes, yeah.
So you starred in Honeymoon Crashes, which was the #1 French-speaking movie on Netflix.
Non-English. non-English, not French-speaking, just
Oh,
non-English. It was
so
number
even
one
bigger.
non-English.
Sorry, I was
worldwide.
underselling it. Worldwide. So the biggest non-English movie on Netflix over the winter starred...
I'm not saying that because I'm part of it. I'm saying that because, the people that
but-
played in it, they did an incredible job. And that's why, I'm overselling it. It's not, if I was not there, it would have been the exact same, there would have been still
Well-
number one worldwide.
You were playing yourself.
No.
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 Can you just tell us about
I
it?
was playing Damien.
Damon.
Damien.
Oh, Damien, not Damon Hill. No,
No,
Damien.
no. I was
Okay.
playing Damien. Damien, Formula One driver for Alpine. So, yeah. But, yeah, I'm a bit of the bad guy in that one. I steal the girl of the married star.
You're the honeymoon crasher.
Exactly, yeah. But no, it was incredibly fun to play in, really. I'm very good friend with the hero actress, who's called Michelle Larocque. She's a big fan of F1. She came to see me a lot of time in F1 in Austin, Barcelona. She will come back this year actually to support me. And she asked me if I wanted to play this little role, and I couldn't say no. Never thought it was going to be as big as it became. But yeah, it was incredible to be featuring in that, and makes me think that maybe I want to do more in the future. Like some stunt driving with cars in movies, or I got another friend actor who's called Alban Lenoir. He's
he was on the YouTube channel.
yeah, he's on the YouTube channel.
He's an action.
Yes, much more action based.
Yeah.
Loves cars. He's basically the French Vin Diesel.
Okay.
And yeah.
Do you enjoy the whole process of making a movie?
I do enjoy when it's finished more.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Esteban, take number 23.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but the amount of work, don't think we realize. But I feature maybe 2 minutes in that movie, playing Damien. But it requires, I don't know, like 2 days of filming, but 2 complete days.
Were you at a track, or
we were at Barcelona one. And then I was stealing the girl at the chapelle, the wedding. So yeah, when they told me I was gonna do that, my girlfriend was watching like this. Yeah, it was quite funny because I was hugging the girl, and you have to act a bit. Which
did your girlfriend come and watch?
She did
the filming.
Okay. Yeah, she did. It was painful for her, poor her, bless her. But yeah, it's very funny, to do. And
I mean, amazing success. And of course, Formula One, the sport, is hoping that F1 achieves a huge amount of success in the summer as well. Are we going to see a lot of you in that? Are you aware of the cameras being on you quite a lot over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think that I will feature for sure on track at least. I haven't seen it yet. We will be in New York as well for the worldwide premiere, which is going to be super special for sure. I've seen the trailer, and I see that I'm crashing with Brad Pitt in turn 12 in Abu Dhabi. So I need to have a talk with Brad about this.
It's only a movie.
Yeah. Next time.
And of course, there's the whole Netflix thing. Have you noticed a huge upswing in your global fame over, well, let's say in the 3 years since you were last on Beyond the Grid?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite crazy now. What we're able to experience, what we're able to live. I mean, I was wondering also, should I show that side of my life, on YouTube? But it's less my passion, I don't. It's nice to experience these things, go in the background, the glamour, the Monaco side of things. It's very interesting, as a background, but this is not what I was dreaming for when I was a kid, What I dreamed in is sitting in a car, go-kart, smell the fuel, the tires, the rubber, and that's still the side I want to stuck with. Of course, if that sport was not as successful, it would not be Formula One. We put Formula One with how much support we get from fans, and it's incredible. The amount of love we receive every weekend. Just coming from Japan, it was insane. But that's not why I'm interested in. I'm a racing driver. I'm a Formula One driver, but I don't consider myself as a star or Netflix star or whatever.
I think that's the truest interpretation of you as well. You're a passionate racer who does it for that and not the fame and everything that comes with it. I think. Well, it's been fantastic to have you back on the show. Can we end this just by throwing it forward?
Of course.
We talked about a bit of a roller coaster in these opening few races. How much hope do you have for the rest of the year? Where are your ambitions?
Yeah, ambitions obviously are, we want to keep the progress, going. We started with a very difficult first race. We got a very good second one, a little bit more difficult third one. We need to get, a bit more consistency in how we've managed to get this car working. It seemed to be a very narrow window. We need to make that a bit wider. But I got a great team behind me, and people are pushing in the same direction that I'm pushing, and it feels great. It's a fresh start for me. I feel good, in this team, and I look forward to the future.
Are you aiming at P6, P7 in the constructors, or are you not even putting a number on it?
You can ask Ayao this, Tom.
Okay.
I'm just going race by race, trying to extract the maximum out of the car, and extracting the maximum out of the car every single time is the right aim, I believe, and we'll see where that leads us.
And would you like to see the team focus on 25, get this car sorted, or in your mind, are you thinking 26 is the opportunity?
Both.
Right, okay. So, yeah.
The team will know, what to decide. They are on top of this. Ayao is on top of this, on what to decide. But my mind is on 25, and it's normal. That's where it should be. That's what the team is asking me. To do the best we can this year. But there is a huge potential, in this team, and I know there is a big regulation change next year. And we could be, or not, in great position next year, like everyone. It's reset the pages. Me or Oli, we're not going to be world champion this year. That is very clear. We never know where future brings us, but for sure, we are. As soon as the team is going to ask me, to do some simulator work and development for 26, I'm going to be taking it and try and guide them in the best way I can.
Good luck with that. Thank you very much for your time now. I've got one final question, and this is something I'm asking everybody on the pod this year. Formula One is 75 this year. Do you have a favourite moment in those 75 years that you can share with us?
It's a good question, Tom. I have to bring it back to 2006. Magny-Cours, 2006. I think it was Grandstand Adelaide, if I'm correct. So that's the way back in Magny-Cours. It was little me with the Michael Schumacher shirt, the Michael Schumacher hat, and me against all the Fernando fans, that were shouting at me because I had a Michael hat and T-shirt. And I saw Michael won, that weekend, and that was the first time I saw F1 cars for the first time, and I still remember the sound, how loud it was. I remember my dad putting me these little earplugs in the ear, but I was just doing that to be able to hear the engines. And that would be my first memory.
And was that the moment when your career became clear to you? Was it a eureka moment?
No, it was before that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I think since I was 4 or 5 years old, I've always said I wanted to become a Formula One driver. That was maybe when I was 7 or 8. If I had already the cap and the T-shirt, you can believe that was, a long time ago, that this is what I wanted to do. And it has never changed since then.
Best of luck. Thank you
very
very
much,
much.
Tom. Thank you.